Yo, what's good, Ghost Mafia? It is your host, Mr. Ghost. Welcome to Real Talk, guys. We're on episode 3, and today we're going to talk about gender dysphoria and this transgender movement and why we can't have an open conversation about it. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are new to the podcast, you are new to the channel, you want to become part of an awesome family, you want to join the Ghost Mafia, you guys can quickly hit that subscribe button, turn on those bell notifications. I know how ridiculous to hear that every time you see a video on YouTube, but it does help the growth of the channel. And if you guys are looking for great content, you come to the right place. I am a gamer, I'm a commentator, I am a very logical human being. But guys, I'm not going to waste your time much within this intro. Just during this video, stay throughout the video because we're going to touch on why this has affected my home personally and why I think there has to be change in our society when it comes to gender dysphoria and transgender movement. And guys, it is a movement. I know people don't like hearing that word, but it really is. I hope you guys enjoy. So yeah, guys, it is crazy. What I had to deal with over these past few days has been chaotic. I've been on the phone with several detectives. Obviously, you guys are going to be intrigued by that. You know, what you're talking about, Ghost? Yes, I've been on the phone with the Virginia Beach Police Department. I've been on the phone with one of their detectives. I've had contact with their local authorities there within their government. I've also had contact with several people in my area, as well as my attorney handling some things on my side as well. Now, obviously, first and foremost, I think people who are suffering from this transgender movement, the gender dysphoria, are legitimate good people. I think a lot of them do have mental health issues, and it's very sad to see them being ignored and not being taken care of. With that being said, everything I talk about today, the names mentioned, do not go look these people up. I do have a video out on TikTok explaining my side, not really explaining, but showing the conversation between me and a group of these people. And obviously, this, and it shows exactly why we can't have an open dialogue conversation, and I will not be showing it during this podcast. I was thinking about showing it, but it is a roughly a 10-minute long video of the entire conversation that I had with somebody by the name of Jackie. Well, they go by Jack, but Jackie Lumen goes by the name Jack now. I've had a conversation with this person, and this person obviously did not like a video that my daughter posted and decided that, so she's 19, you know. So this person is 19 years of age and decided to attack my kid. You know what I'm saying? Not physically, verbally, via social media, and has sent a mob of people after my kid. And we'll discuss that a little bit later on, and exactly why gender dysphoria is a real mental health crisis that we're facing in our society. We have opened the door to a Pandora's box that cannot be closed now, because we are seeing trans everything from trans race, you know, all the way through trans age, you know, transable. So we're seeing it, you know, we're seeing this movement, and it is accelerating at a high rate of speed. And there's no putting the lid back on. The lid's off. It's spewing all over the place. And we really need to have an open conversation about gender dysphoria. Now, the biggest question is, what is gender dysphoria? You know what I'm saying? Not many people have heard about it until just a few years ago. It is a legitimate mental health issue. And it's really a lot to do with an identity crisis. You know what I'm saying? Somebody not feeling comfortable within their own self-image. So, for example, a man that's very feminine might feel out of place, and he might feel like he's a woman trapped in a man's body. And then the same can be said about a woman who's very masculine, can feel masculine and feel like they're trapped in a woman's body, but they're a man. But there is no doubt about it that somebody biologically born a woman is a woman. You know, I don't think we could argue against science and genetics and years of study in human DNA and years of study in the human, you know, genome makeup that we can just throw it out the window and say, you know what, be whatever you want to be. No, that's not how it is. We all got 46 chromosomes, 23 from the father, 23 from the mother, and XY, XX, and XX is female, XY is male. And it's just it's how the apple falls. But gender dysphoria is a real thing. It is a real mental health crisis that we're facing in our society. And the biggest question that we could ask is, how can we help? How can we help these people? And the biggest red line that a lot of us are taking is when it comes to children. I don't think children should transition. I don't think children has the knowledge or even I'm not being mean, but not even the intelligent level of an adult male or female. I'm not saying kids aren't smart. Kids are very smart human beings, but they don't have the conscious decision to realize the ramification of those adult style decisions. You know what I'm saying? They just can't. They can't they cannot fathom the amount of damage this can do because they don't really know their future yet. And I'm always the type of parent, let a kid be a kid and just let the kid find itself. And usually by 18, when you're talking about, feeling comfortable with who you are, by 18, most people will figure out who they are, because female brains develop fully by 18 and males obviously 24. So men have kind of had a disadvantage because it takes a little bit longer to get there, but we do get there. With that being said, I'm okay with an adult male or an adult female wanting to transition. Listen, is it morally wrong within my faith belief? Yes. I think saying, hey, God, you got it wrong is kind of a slap in the face to your creator. But with that being said, that doesn't mean I hate these people or I dislike these people. It's just I find it morally wrong. Now, does that mean I'm going to love and support them equally, just like I would a normal human being? Of course, because that's who I am within my nature. That's how we should be. And I think that's how everybody should be. But we got to have an open conversation about gender dysphoria and what truly causes it. Because there really is no I mean, there might be a few things here and there, but the real study that this is based off from is Dr. Money's. And I talked about that in the last episode. And we'll be doing more episodes on that and obviously on the Dylan situation. But with that being said, guys, like we really got to have a study looking into what is truly causing gender dysphoria. Obviously that's kind of difficult now because we kind of planted the seed in the minds of a lot of young adolescents in our society by pushing it within schools, pushing it within the churches, pushing it within different establishments. And I'm the type of parent, if your kid comes home questioning their gender, it's time to pull them out of that school. If same thing with the church, and I've heard this over a video, and it's true. You know what I'm saying? If your kid comes home from church or you go to a church and they're affirming this behavior on children, it's time to leave that establishment because it's not truly having your best interest at heart. Because it is a mental health issue. There are so many people who suffer gender dysphoria. You could put it on two sides of the spectrum. You have those who are very comfortable after transitioning, and they're comfortable within their body and they're happy. God bless their hearts. Let them be happy. Let them be themselves. You guys can hear the dogs in the background. I'm going to be kicking them out soon. But then on the other side, you have people who are worse off. And there's a big group of them that are pretty much taking their lives early because of either mixed diagnosis or being misled down the road that shouldn't have been taken when they were adolescents. And one of those videos that I got to see is of a young man who simply broke down crying. He's worried about the children and the future of mankind. He's, our species. He's worried about that. And he said, all I needed was counseling. And I want that to set in within your mindset that this is somebody who has transitioned, who is now detransitioning, been out by that community, by the way. They were all open arms when he was transitioning, but now this person still suffering from gender dysphoria is transitioning back, which is really hard to do. You know what I'm saying? And pretty much crying out that all he needed was therapy. And that's okay. We all need therapy in our lives at some point. If you don't, then God bless your heart. But most of us do. And it's okay to have an open discussion. But to sit there and to try to teach kids, okay, hey, listen, bud, you can make a decision on your gender. You could choose who you are. Then what's not to say that a child is not old enough to buy beer, to buy cigarettes? Why can't a child vote? Why can't a child make his own medical decisions? Why can't a child say, hey, I don't want to go to school no more and just walk out? Why can't a child at 10 to 13 years old say, you know what, I identify as an adult and I want to date that older guy? You see the craziness that this can open. Children are not capable of making adult decisions. That's why in most states you will see the age of consent roughly between 16 and all the way up to 18. I think it should be 18, as by then, you will have that consensus of who you are. But that's my opinion with that. But children can't make that decision. So with gender dysphoria, some of us got flamboyant sides. These, like for me, for example, I'm very feminine sometimes. I could be very flamboyant, but does that mean that I'm gay? If you guys watch my live streams and see my funny side to me, no, it's my personality. I'm a very sensitive man too. But don't get me wrong, I could be very masculine at the same time, but it's my personality. But see, I grew up in an era where my parents let me be a kid. My parents didn't, the second they noticed that something was wrong with me, I was very too feminine or something, then immediately they brought me to this doctor and we had to chop off his ding dong and give him a vajayjay and call him a girl. I'm blessed I didn't have to grow up with that because I got to grow into who I was. I'm 37 and I'm just getting comfortable with who I am as a person. Okay. Now, with gender dysphoria, we don't have a true study on exactly what's causing it. Is it a part of the brain that is causing this like level of imbalance within our own comfort of our own skin? Is it spiritual? Is it being caused by hormonal issues? DNA tests, doing genetic tests on people, doing an authentic study. I want you guys to think about that for a second. Imagine if we did an authentic study, okay? We took two groups of people, okay, that are suffering from this. And we studied one group through brain scans, through DNA, genetic testing, blood work, and therapy to determine what's causing it. And we take the second group and we allow them to transition and we study them for 10 years. Okay, let's study this for 10 years, maybe even 15 years, say. Then we might be able to get a clear picture on what is the right treatment for this. Okay, so with that being said, we're not doing that. Because who knows, we don't know the genetic makeup of certain people. Okay. Obviously, I know a female is a female. I know a male is a male. But what if we take somebody who identifies as a woman, but it was born a male? And let's say we test their DNA and holy crap, the DNA comes back and they have an XX chromosome. But yet they were born a male. They had male astronomies. They had testosterone. Why is their genetics showing us they're a female? You see what I'm saying? I'm not saying that would happen, but you see, then it might give more of an answer of what's causing this, you know what I'm saying? And give us more of an option to help these people. Okay? Brain scans. Is there some damage to the brain? And most importantly, is it spiritual? Are they spiritually lost? We all go through adolescence. Regardless of where you're born in life, we all start from the womb to the grave. And in between, it is a roller coaster of high emotions, ups and downs, and all a bunch of crazy shit. But in our teenage years, we deal with a lot of it, okay, guys? We do end up dealing with a lot of emotions through our teenage years, from the hormones and all that, I've always been a sensitive kid growing up. Okay. And growing up, I was always, you could say, on the soft side a little bit. Now, just imagine if I grew up in this era of what would have been done to me. I want to have my beautiful daughters. I want to have had the life I have. I am blessed with who I am because I fell into who I was. And most people that do suffer from gender dysphoria will end up either being gay by the time they're 18, or they will move on to their lives and be comfortable with who they are. Okay? So, with that being said, I'm open for an open discussion, setting it up to having a 10 to 15-year study to truly, truly understand gender dysphoria. You know, because to me, trans doesn't exist, guys. I'll be very blunt. I don't think the word trans really exists. It's just trans to me means transition, transformation. It's not really a true defined term of what it is. It's gender dysphoria. You know, that's what it really is. So with that being said, you know what I'm saying? They have opened this door to where people can identify as anything that they want. It is their truth. And who are we to say no to it when we already accepted, you know, the first set of options? So now with that being said, you know, women are coming out, okay? Women are coming out, speaking out against this. That they don't want trans women, which are men born biologically men, transitioning into women. They don't want these individuals taking over the women's safe spaces, sports. Not saying all women's plays every sport. No, sports is obviously, to be very clear, because some people don't understand what I'm trying to say sometimes. Within women sports, within women tailed sports, biological men should not be brought into that space, such as Leah Thomas. Okay, they should have been brought into that space because it's a huge disadvantage. You know, Leah Thomas went from position number 400 and something in the nation under the male competition. Okay, let that set in, to the number one female swimmer of the year. Let that set in. Okay, and I fully support women that speak out against this. I don't think there should be biological men transition into women be allowed in female bathrooms. I just think it's morally wrong. I don't think biological men that are transitioning into women or say they're women be allowed in female prisons. Okay. It's the same thing if a female identifies as a man, shouldn't be allowed in a man's prison or a man's bathroom or within men's sports. You know, we have turned into a society of chaos. Okay. We are watching grown men who identify as women beat the living crap out of a woman with an MMA fight. We are seeing grown men who identify as women, you know, completely obliterate the competition within women's sports. And now we're seeing them taking over the bathrooms, the prisons. Any violent felon can say, hey, I identify as a woman and be allowed within to a woman's prison. And we are seeing the raising rates when it comes to pregnancies in female prisons. Yeah, let that set in. And the amount of rapes that are happening, okay? Now, with that being said, okay, one second. With that being said, my 15-year-old posted a video. Clear as day. She don't want to be called cis or cis woman, okay? Because she finds it very offensive. Because she is born a woman. She is a woman. Okay, she's a girl. She's a female. Okay, so she wants to be identified as that. He's so cute. But sorry. But anyways, with that being said, okay, and she went on to say that she don't think children should be exposed to this spectrum of issues within our society. She don't think that biological men should be within women's sports or within women's bathrooms. Very innocent statement. Okay. Her TikTok was taken down for it. Yeah. Her whole channel, her whole TikTok platform was deleted by TikTok itself. But before that happened, a 19-year-old female who is now transitioning into a man. So we'll call this person a person. Okay. I'm going to try my best not to use pronouns here. Okay. This person decided that it was okay to make a video to her video, which is my daughter's, okay? And blatantly translate it as my daughter being transphobic. Yeah, you heard that correctly. So my daughter's saying that children should not be exposed to this type of ideology because they're not fully developed. They can't make mature decisions, nor shall it be allowed within women's sports or allowed within women's safe spaces. That's transphobic according to this transgender person. Okay. Now how does that make sense to you? A biological woman, my daughter, okay, made a logical statement and is being slurred around as transphobic. A daughter made a reaction video to that, as what any 15-year-old would do. Nothing mean, nothing harsh, just simply saying, I'm not transphobic. I just don't want to be called cis woman. I am a woman, and I don't think children should be exposed to this. And I don't think biological men who are transitioning into womanhood should be part of the women's sports or women's spaces. Nothing transphobic. But yet, this 19-year-old person has decided it was okay to slander and bash my 15-year-old daughter's name all over her TikTok. Her TikTok got taken down. She created another one, did the same thing. That one got taken down. She created another one, did the same thing, but even worse. Now, it was with this third TikTok that she had, her third, account, that somehow, some way, my daughter started receiving death threats. My 15-year-old daughter started receiving death threats from transgenders who didn't agree with her not being called cis woman, or that children shouldn't be exposed to this, or it shouldn't be allowed within women's safe spaces. Okay? Not only was it death threats, my daughter was receiving threats of rape, her family being murdered. My daughter was being called homophobic. They were tearing my daughter apart, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. In what society have we now turned into? They claim they want to be inclusive. They come with peace. They come with harmony. They don't mean nobody harm, but only if you agree to their pronouns or if you agree to their ideology. My daughter came to me, and now Papa Bear got involved. Now, those that know me, I don't hold no punches. When it comes to my children, I hold no punches. So if you guys want to see Papa Bear mess with my children, because you will see a whole side of me where I think Jesus would be pretty upset with me, but also Jesus will understand. Even though I'm wrong, I'll ask for forgiveness and he will forgive me, because that's what my Savior does. He's an amazing Savior. With that being said, I ended up rating this person, and never once I threatened violence, but I did call this person by their biological name and their biological pronouns, because I'm not going to live within that fantasy. I'm not going to sit there. Like, if I look at you and I could tell you're a woman, I'm going to call you a woman. And here's the funny part. There's a lot of people who are transgender who don't really care what pronouns you use. They don't care. Okay? Some do, some don't. Okay? Well, obviously, I think I met somebody who's is all up into their feelings. Okay? They're kind of lost, and I feel bad for this person, because this person truly is angry at the world. And she went off with it with her mouth, started being disrespectful, going off with it. And I basically told her trans is not real. Gender dysphoria is real. And I forgot to put that part in there, but it's okay. In the heat of the moment, I put this person in their place. Never threatened violence. Never once have I ever insulted her way of life. I just kept telling her, I'll pray for you. I kept referring to her as her biological name. I kept referring to her as her as she because that's what she is. You know, she didn't take no hormones. She's never transitioned. You're still a woman who just wants to be called a man. So you socially transition, I think is what they call it. I'm not going to live in that fantasy. It's who I am. And you don't like it, there's the door. We don't have to associate. But you're not going to sit there and take away my First Amendment right, the freedom of speech, at all, and make me want to believe in your truth when I know it to be false. Okay? But it gets worse. I had somebody who wrote me at 1:17 on Wednesday morning, threatened to kill me. The person name was Shane. Now, ironically, I thought Shane was a guy. Shane's not. Shane's transitioned into a guy, but Shane was formerly a woman. Threatened to murder me. Made a statement that my daughter was going to get raped by a man. And ended up proceeding to calling me a terrorist. I look like one of those, towel, you kind of get the draft. I'm not going to use the words. All of that conversation, I have receipts for. I already posted a video on my TikTok. And if you guys want an update video, let me know in the comments below from this video. And I will show receipts. But I won't do so if you guys don't request them. But if you guys do request them, I have all of them. They're actually saved on my PC. It's just at this moment, it is being a criminal investigation. So I probably can't for right now showing the physical evidence that I have against these group of people. So obviously that has to be withheld for now. I will definitely keep everybody updated when it comes to the criminal investigation of it, because you can't threaten to rape a 15-year-old. You can't threaten to murder an entire family just because they don't want to call you by your pronouns. Okay? And that's why we can't have a gender dysphoria conversation. Because the second we want to literally call out the ludicrousness, if I said that correctly, of this ideology as a mental health issue, you're immediately labeled homophobic and you're immediately labeled a transphobic. And this is what this person called me. This Shane person said, your homophobic statements is going to get you killed. First of all, I never said anything homophobic. I never said anything transphobic. Okay, I never said I hated trans people. Never said I fear trans people. Never said I hate gays. Never stated that I fear gays. My ex-wife has turned lesbian, and she is currently going to get married to a female. Even though my biblical side of me, my religious side of me is not too keen of that, but I am acceptive of that, and I'm compassionate of that. Okay, so that's the big difference. My children, who I have sole custody of, visits their mom regularly. Okay? But yet, I'm homophobic. Would a homophobic person allow his children to be around somebody that's a lesbian? Or furthermore, would I have had an open conversation about this transgender and gender dysphoria with my middle daughter, who was going through it at the age of 9? But see, I allowed my daughter to grow up a little bit. Now 13 years old. She is bisexual as of right now. That's what she identifies as. Her pronouns is a she, her. And she's happy with who she is. Well, I wonder why. Because I didn't force a false ideology down her throat. I didn't immediately assume that there was something wrong with my kid. I just knew my kid was just being a kid. And it was obviously, this was it was obviously society's behavior. Marley, Mia. Hey, relax, mama. Okay. It is obviously our society, obviously social media, the impacts on children is significant. And that's why I think apps like TikTok do have to be banned, especially here in the United States. And I have a very large platform over there. Well, not large, just like 1,300, but still big. You're over 1,000 people. It's a big platform for me, and all I post is my Jesus stuff until today when I posted the conversation between me and this person. So you guys could check that out. There's a link to that video within the description below. Understand, this person came after my kid. This transgender person came after my kid, not with like knowledge, communication, let's have a dialogue, with immediate violence and immediate hatred. Now, do I know 100% that she's friends with all these people? No, I do not. Can I presumptuously assume that? Yes, because they've mentioned friend within their conversation numerous times. Okay? So when somebody comes and rates you and say, hey, my friend showed me this, you're going to take it based upon word value. Okay? With that being said, we could put a hypothetical and say, okay, maybe, just maybe, they were not friends. But you're still responsible for what you put out there on your social media. Okay? Just like me. If I was to spew hate for a certain group of people and somebody utilized my content to build their hatred and go harm those people, I would want to see myself held responsible and arrested as well. Because it was my words that spewed the hate, that ignited the flame. So understand that this person, okay, decided to post 13 videos, all spewing hate towards my child, and several videos on me, and one video on her mother, who I may remind you is a lesbian. Not because we attacked her, not because we were viciously going after her with violence and hatred, because we spoke truths. We spoke truths. We spoke facts, and we defended our child. I want to make it very clear. I'm open for all conversation of things different. My mind's always racing. My mind's always ticking. So, like, I'm always willing to learn something new. I grew up not knowing what transgender was. I'm going to be honest with you guys. But I knew what drag queen was. I've seen it here and there. I knew what a transvestite was, which I apologize for saying that. I think that's a very derogatory term. Crossdresser, a cross-dresser. Men that love to cross-dress as women. I knew all about that, but never knew of, David Reamer, John Money, Dr. Money. It wasn't until this was brought to my doorstep that I now am putting my voice out there. Because I think a voice of reasoning should be out there. Me as a Christian, me as a firm believer in Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior, his wonderful and magnificent Father, our God, our Creator. He still loves every one of his children. But I will never, ever, 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 ever in my life, and I'll stand firm on this, accept pronouns, nor will I ever call somebody by a pronoun. Now, with that being said, okay, and the reason why, making it very clear to the reason why, because I never believed God makes mistakes. In the book of Genesis, he tells us he made us in his image. He made male for his own good. He made female for his own good. There's a purpose for being a female. There's a purpose for being male. Now, can we have an open conversation about gender dysphoria, transgenders, and stuff like that? Yes. Now, do we have to create a third space? Maybe. That could be open for conversation. I'm perfectly fine with creating a third bathroom for transgender people. I'm perfectly fine for creating a safe space, a sports for transgenders. Now, the question becomes, when we have that open conversation and I put on the table an offer to create transgender sports or to create transgender bathrooms, which I think that's already happening in a few places here and there. I'm not too sure. Don't quote me on it. If I am correct and you have heard of it, let me know in the comments below. But would the argument be, no, now you're just trying to segregate us? Would that be the argument? And I think it would be. But why? Why don't women deserve to be called women? Why are we calling women, mothers, birthing people? No, it is a mother. Women were made very special. Okay? Women were made very special for a reason. Okay? Adam was alone in the Garden of Eden, and God saw that he was alone. So God made him a companion. God made her from him. Woo man. She was wombed from a man. Okay? Now, with that being said, a woman is our companion, our best friend. She is the breather of life. She brings life to earth. Where will we sit 1,000 years from now if we don't put the brakes on this and allow kids to be kids and kids to grow up and come into their own? Are we going to see a society where humans are on the brink of extinction? Many questions can be brought up from the transgender movement. Many questions can be brought up from this. Is this part of one world order? Is this demonic? What is pushing the agenda for transgenderism all across the spectrum? I get it. I get it. You know, when you go through a crisis in life with your mental health, it brings you down. I suffer from mental health issues, borderline personality. I suffer from severe depression, anxiety, PTSD. But I go get help. I get the counseling I need. Not because I'm weak, just because I know I can't do it alone. And obviously, I'm not alone. I got God, I got Jesus, and they've been my big counselors through this. But why can't we have an open conversation about gender dysphoria and truly address the elephant in the room? Let's truly address it instead of experimenting with it. Think about it, guys. With every mental health crisis we face in this society, it immediately went to experimentation. When autism, schizophrenia, what did we do as humans? We experimented on them. Why do you think many psychiatric hospitals shut down throughout the 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s? Because we experimented on humans. Is it not experimentation with what they're doing with the transgender movement? Is it not an experimentation on children to mutilate their bodies for the name of science, to see what it will look like, to see what it would be like? It is an issue in this society. And I think we truly need to discuss gender dysphoria and bring it to the forefront to our politicians and have a conversation with our politicians and let our politicians open the eyes and understand they're destroying the population. They're going to destroy any identity of what it is to be a female, any identity of what it is to be a man, without realizing they're opening the door to a Pandora's box. Well, sorry, that they opened the door to a Pandora's box. Who are you to deny somebody's truth now will become a greater movement? Who will you be to deny somebody their own reality? When have we become a society that embraces somebody's false reality? I understand people suffer from mental health issues, and it breaks my heart 100% when I see people going through gender dysphoria. And don't get me wrong, there are some people that do transition as adults who are very comfortable with what they did. Okay? Even some that transitioned when they were kids. May I remind you, they were kids, but they were transitioned. There are some that are still comfortable with that decision. And God bless their heart. I'm glad they found peace. They found happiness. But the question is, would they find happiness as an adult making that decision? You'll never know. But what about those who are regretting the transition? What about those that had their bodies mutilated and changed forever with no justice, no ramification? Just, who cares? In complete ignorance of the doctors, the psychiatric professionals. Accountability has to happen. I think it is time as a society that we open the door to discussion. We have a deeper conversation about gender dysphoria with acceptance and open arms. Get the kids the counseling they need. And by 18 years of age, if they still want to transition, then that's an adult decision they can make and living with the adult decision's consequences. But understand, as parents, we are to protect our children at all costs, even if that meant we have to lay our lives for our children. Okay? Children are at risk in our society because of this movement. And you guys have to understand of how that is a problem. That is the red line my daughter was talking about. But my daughter gets threatened to be murdered, ripped apart, raped, her family taken from her, all because she has an opinion, all because she believes women deserve to be safe. Have we literally spiraled to the outer control of society where we are now living in a false reality? Are we living in a society where it's literally all about free chaos? Are we going to live a new purge? Are we going to live the purge? I want to say new. I would say, are we going to live the purge? Where all crime is legal now. Who are you to deny a pedophile his truth? Who are you to deny a rapist his truth? I want you to understand the door that has been opened. Now, what if a grown adult decides they are a child and they want to date a child? Who are you to argue against their truth? It's the same thing of a person that has raped somebody. And they say, well, I think it was consensual. Who are you to argue their truth? I know those seems like ridiculous statements, but open your eyes to the reality of the situation you are creating. We as a society said, hey, it's okay to love who you want to love. Man can love man, woman can love woman. Nobody argued against that. Now we open the door. Okay? Transgenders start rising. Men wanted to be women, women wanted to be men. We're like, okay, have at it. Now they come for our children. Well, children must transition because they are very feminine boys, very masculine women. And they are tricked into it. The parents are tricked into it. What's next? We already got transracial. We already got transabled, where people who identify as disabled can chop off their limbs or drain cleaner in their eyes. Trans age is coming. It's already started with a guy on Craigslist that identifies as the baby and wants somebody to take care of him. And who would you be to deny him his proper care since he identifies as a child? Who are you to deny somebody the possibility of their own truth? I know those statements seem ridiculous, but it is based on reality of what you have been created. The far left agenda is pure evil. There's no doubt about that. Gender dysphoria is a real issue, but the transgender movement is pure evil because it is being peddled to children at a way too young age. And if you think I'm lying, then you come with receipts and prove me wrong. Because the receipts prove that the percentage of children that identify as trans in 2023 is in the 20 percentile range. In 2007, it was less than 10%. It is on an uprise because evil has a foot in this country. And I don't care what anybody tells me. I will forever stand with God. I will forever stand with Jesus. I have the shield of God on me. I understand I need to speak out against this. Now, I am not against transgenders. I am not against gender dysphoria, but I am against transitioning children when they don't understand the true ramifications of their decisions. Adults are in charge of this, okay? Adults are in charge of diagnosing children with gender dysphoria and immediately signing off after 2 appointments on reassignment surgery and hormones. Not realizing, well, no, they realize the full ramifications and effects that will have forever on that person if they decide this is not what they want. The Chloe Close, if I said that name correctly, and the many others who are now detransitioning have a voice. You must listen to those because it is a nightmare reality. In 30 years from now, we will look back at this era in human history as one of the darkest moments that we have ever faced. Because once again, when mankind was faced with a mental health crisis, instead of compassion, love, and treatment, we took out the scalpel and started experimenting and torturing. With that being said, guys, that will conclude for today's episode. God bless you guys. God bless every one of you guys. And I wish for compassion and love for every one of you. Have a good one, guys.